So if you're trying to lose body fat and maybe now you feel a little bit stuck, or things aren't going as fast as you'd like, or you just want to make sure that you're doing things right, in this video, I have 3 things for you that you must absolutely avoid on that journey to losing body fat that will really help you maximize the results on your journey. And these are things that I've also done wrong, so it's not that I'm above everybody. I've also made these mistakes. Also, I've seen a lot of people that reached out to me over the years make the exact same mistakes. So my hope is that by sharing this information, I can help you avoid some of these things so you can get the absolute best results and really make that sustainable lifestyle change. So without any further ado, let's dive into it. So the first thing that I'd like you to pay attention to if your goal is to lose body fat is avoid breaking your diet too early, and please don't do this. So let me explain what I mean. So when you enter a caloric deficit and your goal is to lose body fat, so you're in a caloric deficit, obviously you need to be in a caloric deficit, okay? So we're not gonna cover that in this video. You know that you need to be in a caloric deficit. When that happens, you enter a non-linear fat loss journey. So it is not a linear process. Your weight is actually going to be fluctuating. So weight will overall go down, the trend will be down, but there will be periods where your weight will be stuck for multiple days at a time. I've seen people get stuck for 2 weeks with the weight being exactly the same. 1 week is common, 5 days is kind of common for me personally. And even though you are losing body fat due to water retention, you're not seeing that scale weight go down. Now, what does happen over time, if you just persist and if you have the patience, you will experience what is called the whoosh effect. So you get rid of the water weight and suddenly you start experiencing a new low on the scale. But before the whoosh effect happens, a lot of people start panicking. And what can happen, they've been on a diet for 5 or 6 days, they've been very aggressive with their calories and they've really put in the effort, but the scale isn't going down, and then they throw in the towel. Then they go out on a couple of cheat days, and what happens due to those cheat days, you've actually now raised your calories, you've just regained all the body fat you've lost, and then you've lost the water weight because your stress levels went down because you just overate, so you're no longer in a diet, and you basically are at a net zero, and now you entered a feedback loop, a positive feedback loop for the wrong thing. Because now your suspicion that the diet is broken is confirmed and you think that the intake didn't work while in fact it was actually working. I've seen so many people make this mistake. So please, when you look at your diet, do not just pay attention to the scale. Pay attention to pictures. Get a tape measurement. See the signs that what is actually happening. Don't just rely on the scale because it will throw you off, and expect some water retention to happen on your journey, and you will start seeing the patterns that you personally have with this whoosh effect. I've seen a lot of people, especially type A, very aggressive, I want to get results as fast as possible, suffer from this the most when they're trying to lose body fat. They go very aggressive on the calorie cuts. They've also added a ton of cardio, which again, all adds extra stress, which leads to water retention and causes more of that stall on the weight scale. So be very careful with this. And once you start recognizing these trends, you're going to really start recognizing how your body is responding to that caloric deficit. And then you can start making some predictions, and then you know for sure whether you're on track or not. Now, the second thing that I would like you to avoid is watching this video and not hitting the like button. So please go ahead now below this video right now. It would really mean a lot to me if you smash that like button as hard as you can to help me out, as well as to push this video out for more people, because it does work with the YouTube algorithm, help more people on their fitness journey. So please go ahead, hit the like button. Again, it means a lot to me. And now the real second thing that I would like you to avoid, which cripples so many people when they're trying to lose body fat, is eating back the calories you've burned. And here's what I mean by this. So many people these days, they rely on tracking apps like MyFitnessPal or similar apps like that. And these apps often have algorithms for calculating how many calories you burned, and then they try to use that estimate to adjust your daily caloric intake to then allow you to eat more calories. Basically, they would say something like you've earned 500 or 600 calories a day. Now, the problem with that is that those numbers are inaccurate. And I've seen so many people over the years of having done so much client work that get off track because they're relying on these automatic calorie adjustments. Do not let the app adjust your calories. Set your calories, do some proper calculations, figure out your numbers, and stick to that. Stick to that structure. You don't need to calculate the calories burned. you only need to look at how much weight you've lost for that week. And if it was too fast, if you honestly lost more than 1.5% of your body weight per week, you can always raise your calories. If you're a very active person, if you've misjudged your caloric intake and you're losing too fast, well, you can always raise the calorie intake. But don't try to do it day to day through these automatic calorie adjustments, because it makes it really hard, again, to have a decent structure with the diet, but also these numbers are so inaccurate that you will often get yourself out of a calorie deficit and you're not going to see progress despite working really, really hard. So please disable this. If you're using any kind of calorie tracker, it will really benefit you a lot on your journey and you will start seeing better results. Now, the third thing that I'd like you to avoid if you're trying to lose body fat is avoid following a diet that doesn't match your food preferences. And here's what I mean by this. So you probably heard me say in multiple different videos that you should follow about 80% healthy, whole, unprocessed foods, and then about 10 to 20% maybe add some processed food from time to time to enjoy them while still matching that with your calories and your macros. Fine. But there's a different ratio that I want to introduce here for you that will really help you understand how to tailor the diet more toward yourself. And that is the ratio of fuel versus entertainment. So on one extreme, you have someone who might be okay with just eating for fuel. They don't really care about the taste of the diet. They're okay with just hitting their numbers, hitting their macros, and that's all right. They're just more robotically, mechanistically looking at the diet. Now, on the other hand, you might be the type of person that's looking more for really enjoying the meals. You like to cook, you like to prepare foods, and you like to enjoy your diet overall. Now, the mismatch and where the problem lies is that if you, for example, match someone who wants to have a tasty diet with something like chicken, broccoli, and rice. And maybe that person that's read that chicken, broccoli, and rice is the way to go, they will have a mismatch and they will not be able to follow through long term, even if they had the right numbers. And then on the other hand, if you have someone who's really toward fuel and they really don't care how the diet tastes, and you tell them, here's all these complicated recipes that you need to prepare and all this stuff that you spend in the kitchen all this time, they're not going to be able to follow it. So you have to tailor this to your own personal preference. For me, the way I managed to balance this out, I'm more toward fuel. So that's kind of my perspective on this. I do want to eat for numbers 80% of the time. I want to hit my diet, my macros, my calories, and I want to move on. I want to work on my business. I want to help my clients. I want to just not worry about food. I'm not really trying to live to eat. I'm just eating to live. I'm just trying to get it over with. Now, there is that then 10 to 20% of the time when I do want to enjoy the food. And that's my personal ratio. So you have to tailor the diet toward your own ratio. For me, also, I don't know how to cook that good. So I know a couple of things that I enjoy, but for me, I'm enough of skill in the kitchen to match my 80% of fuel and my 10 to 20% enjoyment. So really, it is about tailoring the approach to yourself so you can actually enjoy the diet long term. And you can see yourself doing this long term, and just being in a calorie deficit and trying to lose body fat doesn't have to suck. If you tailor things to yourself, you can actually find that the process isn't as bad, or it doesn't have to be as miserable as most people make it out to be. Obviously, it is hard, but it doesn't have to be miserable. No great result comes without some form of sacrifice or hard work, but it doesn't have to be 100% miserable like a lot of people make it out to be. If you tailor things to yourself, if you educate yourself enough, if you learn the skills, maybe the entertainment person doesn't have the skills now, but they're willing to go through the effort to learn some recipes and make the diet tasty so it does match their psychology and their preferences. That is fine. So I'm giving you ideas and some ratios so you can start looking at these things to start really understanding nutrition and how to tailor this to yourself. So I hope this was helpful. Also, if you'd like to learn more that will help you in your fitness journey, make sure to subscribe below to the channel as well to get future videos. Don't forget to enable notifications. Also, don't forget to hit that like button. It means a lot to me to see your support. Details for coaching if you want to work with me directly are in the description below. Other than that, I will see you in the next video.